Welcome back, of course you canners, and it is time to show you true Adobe magic. I hope you're ready for this because this is really going to blow your mind. And I'm going to take this slow because we're working with between an iPad, an iPhone, as well as the desktop device. So sit back, and I really want you to understand the workflow that we'll have between our apps as well as our desktop software. When we set out, like I told you before, to create this journey, we called this part of our session the Mobile Design Revolution. And as you're going to see all these magical tricks that I'm going to show you now, you're going to realize that every second of every day, everybody you talk to, everything you see, everywhere you are, becomes part of your creative inspiration. You can literally pick anything from anywhere and make it part of your libraries and then bring it into your designs. Now, before we get started, let me just show you what I've done here. Now, I am in my Adobe dashboard, which I showed you how to log into, and we're largely going to be focusing on all these mobile apps. Now, firstly, you'll notice if you go to the mobile screen there, it will explain to you all the apps available. Also, they are available mostly for iPhone and Android. You can test your device and see whether they're available for you. I will focus on a couple of them, but you can go in here and you can go and read up on any of them. I will showcase them, but if you want to know exactly how they work, do go and click on these apps under your mobile screen, and they will have a learn and support section on each of the screens. All right, and there it will teach you exactly how to use the app if you're interested to get to know them better. These apps are free. They're free for you to use with your free Adobe ID. But if you really want to use it to its full potential between all the programs, as you're going to see in this demo, then I do suggest that you do subscribe to Adobe for your full license. And guys, if you're going to see, once you see just how much magic is available to you, I don't think you will even think twice about this. So back in my dashboard, I'm going to leave this on my library items, because as this is going to sort of show and connect between all of your devices, I want you to see what happens in the libraries. So I'm going to log in here into the Of Course You Can library, which I've created on my account. And now you'll notice that as we go through the apps and I create assets, they become available for all of my devices and for my software. So I'm going to click here on Of Course You Can, and at the moment it's saying that that library is empty. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to jump over to Illustrator, and you saw this brand that we built earlier, our little logo for our restaurant. And also in Photoshop, we did this little postcard for Cape Town. So your software automatically connects with what it calls Creative Cloud libraries. So that library which we had here on our dashboard is also shown inside the library panel in both software packages. You'll see there under libraries. If you can't see it, just go to Window and click on Libraries. Okay, and similarly under Photoshop, you'll notice it's under Libraries. So let's jump right in. Let's say, for instance, we want to bring this logo into our library, because maybe we want to work with that logo inside one of the apps. Maybe Illustrator Draw, we wanted on our iPad, maybe draw some lines around this logo and maybe evolve it. So I'm going to just take this logo and drag it into that library. And automatically it syncs between all my programs and all my apps. Now on this side, I can go into this poster and I can pick my background layer, and through the power of Creative Sync, it goes into that library and it's synced. Now you can already see that I can drag that fork logo that I did in Illustrator into my Photoshop design. How incredible is that? So between the programs, I've got that shared library. But wait, it gets so much better. Right, so firstly, let's just show you one of the apps. I'm going to show you the video for Capture, and Capture is really incredible in order to capture all your inspiration for your next design. Let's look at this video. Absolute Adobe magic. All right, so let's go back in here, and if we're going to look at our libraries in the web browser, look there, there's our 2 assets already. Now let me see if I can jump over to my cell phone screen for you so that you can see what this app does, and I'm going to mirror it on my screen so that you can see it, and there we go. So let's see. Firstly, I'm going to jump into Capture. Now I'll show you in a moment where to get all of these apps, and let's see what Capture can do. Now all of these apps, like we said, links to a specific library that you have on your Creative Cloud. So right there at the top, can you see there it says Creative Cloud Extreme? I'm going to switch that to Of Course You Can, where we already have 2 assets and where we now maybe want some more assets that we can play with inside a new design. So we're going to start with shapes, and shapes inside of Capture is used to capture any shape that you might have drawn. So let me show you. I'm going to jump onto my camera here, and what you're actually seeing is my workspace here. There's the microphone, there's my watch, there's a logo I've drawn, and there's ink and slide, and my iPad. But it's showing you a sort of a vector line illustration of whatever you're pointing at through the camera. Now let's say, for instance, you're sitting with a client and they say, oh, I want a logo. So you've drawn this on a piece of paper. Now you can dial this up or down to pick up more or less of what you've created or drawn there. And then if I click, it's going to capture that into an illustration of it, almost like a vector recrop. Now I can refine it. I can delete these bits down here that it picked up in the shadows. I can crop this down. I can rotate it. Now let's say that's the initial idea for the logo. I can smooth it out if I want to. And what the app is actually doing is it's redrawing that illustration that I've created on paper. Now I'm going to save it, and it automatically saves to the Of Course You Can library. And voila. Now that item is available in any of my software immediately. So if I were to switch back here in Illustrator, let's see. And it's syncing, and it's syncing, and here it comes. And there you go. Immediately available in your software. Amazing is that? All right, let's jump back to the app, and I'm going to show you Type over here. And Type is a way for you to get a font that you might like. And again, we're going through the camera, and now you can see this better. There's my iPad, there's my little InDesign Pro Skills magazine. Now it's saying to me, align the text you want to capture above this line. We want to capture that InDesign font over there. And now I can dial it in and say that's the font. It's going to go through the Type Kit fonts and look for a font that's similar to that font. And there you go. and there is Trump Gothic and Trump Soft Pro. I don't know why it's Trump, but there you go. And it is giving you all these options, and immediately you can sync that font to your Creative Cloud account, because you can then use that font inside your application. So let's save this over here, and I'm saving it back to that Of Course You Can library. Are you excited yet? So there's more. Now, colors would look at whatever you're pointing your phone at, and it's going to capture colors from the camera. So here's our boardroom, Media 24 boardroom in Johannesburg, and I'm actually going to point it here at this book. And can you see how it's picking up the color scheme from what I'm pointing at? And I can say right there at the top, yes, that's the color scheme I want to use for my next design. Look at that. How incredible is it? There you've got the RGB values for the color. You've got the CMYK values. You have the lab, the HSB colors. And now maybe you want to save that. I can go to the color wheel, and I can even move this around a bit if I'm not completely happy with the colors it picked. And I can save it to that same library. Let's save it, and it's immediately available to all my apps and all my software. Now, materials is more sort of 3D materials that you want to use with Adobe Dimensions. And again, we can point this at maybe a texture, which this wooden texture, maybe we want to make a 3D texture of that. And voila! Now we can have that wooden texture on any 3D element. Is this magic or what? Right, I'm going to save this. It gets better. Next one, you can do patterns. Now I'm going to point it again through the camera, and remember a kaleidoscope when you were a kid? How awesome is this? And as I'm pointing it and moving this around, you can pick any of these types of patterns at the top. Now that pattern that it picks up will become a pattern that's usable in my design. I'm going to save this pattern. Let's do another one. Let's take the microphone over here. Let's see if we can capture that. Look at these beautiful patterns it's making. I'm going to save this one. And let's do one more. I'll point it here at the Adobe Ink and Slide. Look at this cool pattern. Sure, I can play with this for hours. It's just amazing. Right, there's our free patterns. Now, the last thing that Capture can do is brushes. And for the brushes, I'm actually going to create a brush from my watch. Let's put the watch over here. I'm going to go through the camera. And, all right, I know. Now I'm going to point it at the watch. And we can dial this up or down to pick up more of the detail or less of the detail. Let's capture it like that. Now, the moment you capture it, you can go and crop that captured image. And now we're going to create an actual brush from my watch. Now, you can pick your style here and how it's supposed to replicate this brush pattern. And you can even create a preset, but I'm going to go to styles and say, yeah, that's my style that I want. Let's refine it. There you can even sample it. If you scrub over this, look how cool that is. There's lots of little watches there. You can even make a little brush out of yourself if you really want to. I'm going to save this. And that's it. So that is Capture. It can do shapes, type, colors, materials, patterns, and brushes. Now let's head back to one of our programs, and I'm going to unlink this, and let's see whether all of that inspiration came into my programs. Look at that. There's my color theme. There's my character style. There's the logo that we've drawn. The brush will appear inside of Photoshop, because Photoshop can work with brushes. Look how it's syncing immediately. There's all the patterns as well. So I might even decide, well, you know what, at this stage, I want to take this background out. and I want to replace it with this pattern. Look at that! That pattern that was just on your cell phone now becomes part of your design. How magical. Okay. That one doesn't want to show right now. Again, that Cape Town logo, I can draw that straight into my illustration. I can dial it up or down. There you go. I can take my color scheme and I can start painting with that color scheme. Look how it's picking up the color from that color scheme, and I can paint with any of those colors on a new layer. Or maybe that color. Okay. So can you see how whatever was around me just became my inspiration for what I want to do here? And I don't criticize this. It's not looking very beautiful, but you get the idea. Let's head back over to Illustrator. And this shape that Adobe Shape brought in can be drawn into Illustrator. But what I want you to see here, remember Illustrator is our vector drawing tool? Well, guess what? This illustration is pure vector, which means we can manipulate every vector separately. How incredible. And even if you're in here, you might decide, you know what, now you want to create this actual logo. So you would start to draw it on its curves the way it was created, but this time creating the full version of that logo. So you can use it as a sort of a tracing tool. Alright, so that is pure Adobe magic for you. Now, I'm going to screen share my iPad because there's a lot more I want to show you. But before I do, let me introduce you to Adobe Ink and Slide. And this is Adobe's own hardware that they've created for the iPad or iPhone or for your Android tablet devices or touch devices, which makes it incredible to work with those apps. Let's have a look. Stores that sell creative hardware. Now I'm jumping back to the iPad to show you a lot more of this magic, and let's open up the iPad screen. I've got an iPad mini here and I've got the Ink and Slide, and there's the screen. Now just to show you where to get the apps, whether you're going to buy the all-inclusive apps and you have a full license, or whether you just want the free versions, they're all available on your iTunes store or Google Play Store. And all you need to do is type in there Adobe, and it will show you all the Adobe apps available to you. Now, read up on the site on the ones that you would want before you install them over here. You can see there's Photoshop Express, There's Adobe Fill and Sign, which works with PDFs. There's Illustrator Draw, which I'm going to show you. There's Photoshop Mix and Photoshop Fix. Those are your two cool Photoshop apps. There's Adobe Capture, which is the one you just saw. So if you want to install that one, it works very well on the iPhone or on your Android phone. And you've got Adobe Scan. This is a fantastic app if you just want to scan documents and turn them into PDF documents that you can send. You can use Adobe Scan. Then there's Lightroom. We will have a proper power session in Lightroom, both the app as well as the application further on in your journey. But you can download that one so long if you're really into photography. Then you have Adobe Premiere Clip. I'm going to show you that one. That's if you want to create video clips on the go. Then you have Adobe Spark Page and Adobe Spark Video and Adobe Spark Post. So these three over here is the same as what we showed you in your Spark sessions. Now these are the apps. So they work on the mobile devices. So if you don't want to do it through the website that I showed you, which was spark.adobe.com, you can install these free apps separately and you can do them straight on your devices. Okay, then you've got Adobe Photoshop Sketch, and we have the Adobe Comp. And Adobe Comp I will also show you, and that's to create sort of page layouts or even Photoshop layouts or Illustrator layouts on your device and then send it over to the application. Okay, further down you have Adobe XD. We will do a session on that as well, and that is to create user interfaces. If you've ever heard of UI or UX, that's what you would use. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of apps here. There's even extra ones. Go and explore and go and have fun. These are just incredible to work with. So let me jump into a couple of them. And the first one we're going to look at here, where are they, is Illustrator Draw. This little guy over here. Illustrator Draw, if you're very good at drawing, you're going to love this app. Think of it as your own Wacom tablet, but on your iPad or on your tablet device. Now, when you start it up the first time, you can click on plus, and it gives you all of these different sizes of documents you might want to make. Whether you want to make an A4, or whether you want to make a screen digital illustration, or whether you want to make a print, a small postcard, or a comic book, or A4, everything is here. So let's say we want to draw an A4 portrait. I would click it over here, and it opens up this interface where we're going to create whatever we want inside of the app. Now, it's actually just an incredible drawing app, but think of it this way. As you're drawing, eventually you're going to send what you create here over to Illustrator and continue working in it. So over here on the side, you can see you can even add some additional layers. You can add a drawn in layer. You can add an image layer even. So let's say you've got an image that you would like to trace. Then you can access your Creative Cloud files over here. And let's go into the Of Course You Can folder. And there I've got a bunch of images. If you do want to play with these images as well, they are under your example files in an app a day folder. So just drag them into your Creative Cloud and you can also play with any of these photos. But the nice thing is you can take any of these photos and it becomes a background layer in this illustration or in this app, and you can draw on top of it in order to trace it. So I'm going to choose one of these pens on the side here. And okay, there's the image. And I'm going to take this off for a moment. And you can choose any of your brushes over here. And if you click them and you hold in, then you can choose what type of brush you want. You can choose the size of the brush. As I'm holding this in, sorry, this is take this one and I can start drawing. Now, sorry, it's drawing on that ruler. I'm going to just take the ruler off, and now you can see that you can draw straight onto this page. And you can click in here and make your size big or smaller. You can choose a different color and go back in here, and maybe we want just a curve of a mountain over here, and then we want the beach area here, and maybe we just wanted that outline. Now we can choose to delete this image, and I'm just going to click on it and delete it, and now we've got that shape. Now what you can also do is, let's just go back for a moment and close this and start a new one, and new project. And this is quite interesting. I'm just going to take any size here. Now you saw that ruler earlier, and then that ruler makes it possible for you to bring in any shape from up here. And sometimes it really helps if you, let's say you want to draw a car and you want that curve. Now can you see it? As I'm moving, I'm actually putting my fingers on to the screen, and as I twist, it's creating that sort of shape. And now as I choose whichever brush or pen I want to use, it's going to duplicate the line that I draw on it. I can make this smaller, and I can go for this part over here. So you're actually using any of those shapes just to draw your initial ideas, and you can choose another shape. You can move this around, you can make it bigger or smaller, you can even stamp them in. If you double click, you can go back, and there's a lot of shapes here, and make it bigger, smaller. Choose your brush, choose your size, choose your color, double click, and there you go. You can even go in here, and if you look right at the top, I've got this OCYJ brand, which is the brand for Of Course You Can. But if I change the library, I can go to my Of Course You Can library. And if you remember correctly, back in my capture, I had that Cape Town logo. Look at that. I can even bring it in here. I can twist it around. I can stamp it in. And there you go. So you can have a lot of fun here. You can create additional layers and maybe another layer over here, and just to show you what this is going to look like eventually in Illustrator, I'm going to draw another line over here. Okay. Now right at the top of the app, if you look over here, if you click that button, it says to you, do you want to link this to one of your applications? So if I click on the top there, now you can, for instance, just save this off, or you can save it straight to your Behance account for those of you that want to show off what you're doing here. You can even put it straight into a PDF, or you can save it as a PSD. Now I'm going to click on the Adobe desktop apps, and we're going to send it over to Illustrator. Now it's connecting through my network, and let me just switch this AirPlay off, and you'll see in Illustrator that is going to open in a moment. It's syncing from the iPad over to my actual software. And it comes into Illustrator with all of those layers, with all of it intact as vectors. How incredible is that? So whatever you started out on your iPad, you now have the full power of Illustrator to continue working with your creation. Okay, so that is Illustrator Draw. It's a lot of fun. Go and explore it. Go and submit some of your creations on it to your Behance account so that you can show it off. Now let's jump back to the iPad, and I'm going to show you Photoshop Fix. So this is a lovely little app to fix up your photographs. Whether you take it on your cell phone, then you can work with this directly on your cell phone, or you can use it inside of your iPad with any of the files that's inside your Creative Cloud account. So I'm going to click here on plus, and there's all my files. On the left hand side, I can access my Lightroom files. I can access a Dropbox if I have images inside a Dropbox folder. I'm going to access my Creative Cloud folders over here. And let's go into the Of Course You Can folder and grab one of these beautiful photos. Let's take this nice one of Greenpoint Park. And I'm going to open that file. Now, go and explore. Yes, there's so much you can do to your photos. You can change the way the lighting works. You can adjust your contrast, pulling it up or down. You can adjust the warmth of an image, pulling it up, pulling it down. You can change your saturation, and remember, saturation is how much color or how little color you want to show. If you take it all the way down, you get this grayscale image. You can enhance your shadows, your highlights, and we can click OK. We can do healing. And healing is normally what they do to retouch photographs where there might be mistakes, which is not going to work that well here, but maybe you want to remove something, and look at that. You draw over it and it just removes it from the photo. You can patch, you can clone, you can fix red eye on those horrible corporate photos of the corporate parties. You can restore the image. Let's go and click on yes. You can smooth. You can lighten, you can color your images, you can paint straight on your images, you can defocus, and as we draw it, it will defocus a specific area on the image, and you can see it becomes a bit more blurry. And then you can even create a vignette. Right, so a lot of fun here. You can do anything to your photographs to really just make them pop, or to enhance them, get them ready for Facebook or wherever you want to publish them. And again, if you click here at the top, you can save it through to Lightroom, or you can send it to Photoshop, or you can save it back to your camera roll for your device, or straight to Instagram or Facebook, or to a Behance project. Okay, if I now click Send to Photoshop, it's going to sync it and send that over to my program on my desktop computer. And again, you had the limited functionality of the app. Now, if we jump back into Photoshop, and let me put this airdrop off, and in Photoshop it's going to sync, and I'm going to close this. Now it's going to sync and it's going to open that inside of Photoshop. It looks like that image was a little bit big, so it might take a while to open up. We'll give it a moment and come back to that one. Right, so that is Photoshop fix. Oh wait, there it is. Look at that. So that exact photo we had just now on the app, but look at how it created all of its effects. All those effects are on layers over here, which means you can control them further with the power, all that additional power that you have inside of Photoshop. How amazing. Okay, so next app, I'm going to jump back to the iPad, and I want to show you Adobe Comp, which is one of my favorite apps, because I work a lot with InDesign. Now, InDesign you will meet in your second journey, but Adobe Comp can actually be used to create compositions for Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, even Muse. Okay, so I'm going to start out here and click on New. And then we're going to create an ad. Now, think of it this way. Let's say, for instance, you're sitting inside of a meeting, and it's a marketing meeting, and they're saying to you, you know what, we want to do an ad for a magazine. So while they're actually explaining what they want in the ad, you sit there and you start scribbling around on your tablet to create the look that they're talking about. So the app can access all of your Creative Cloud files, but what's even more interesting, it's using finger gestures or gestures from your stylus to create boxes for your content. So I'm going to take the stylus and just drag an X, and that means picture box. Voila. And if I tap that picture box, it can access my Creative Cloud files. And let's go into that. Of course, you can folder. And choose a nice shot of Cape Town. I'm going to take this one. Open. And it will bring the image into the top there. And then they might say, you know what, together with that, we want to put the word welcome. Let's stretch this open a bit so that you can see. Now they want to put the word welcome on top of the image and then to paradise underneath it. So a line with a dot means a heading. There you go, it drops a heading. And I can use these controls to make this heading bigger or smaller. I can tap inside it and I can type there, welcome. And any typekit font that you might have installed on your Creative Cloud account is available to you as well inside the app. So we can choose a cool font here. Let's take this one. And I can change the color, drag it into my image over there and make it bigger. Now I want another line of text here, and I click drag and dot, and there you go. And let's type here to paradise, and maybe I want to make this bigger. So it's not a full application and it's not as powerful as what InDesign, Photoshop or Illustrator can do, but look at that, dude. You're making a full mock-up of your final ad, and you might decide, well, down here I want a little vector block. Maybe there's going to be a news call out, and you can give it a color. And let's say we want a paragraph of text over on the left. 3 lines with a dot means paragraph of text. There you go. And I can dial this down to say there will be quite a bit of text over here, and make this box bigger. And maybe now I decide this isn't good for the design over here. I'm just going to move this off to this side and maybe make it bigger and fill this space. And I can even arrange elements and drop them down below other elements, and now I can use that as a background color. That's a horrible color, so let's make it a blue to fit the top image. I can even pick it over there. I can do a bigger box of text over here and make the text a little bit bigger. Whatever the case may be, you're literally creating a whole mock-up as they're explaining what they want in the ad. In the end, all you do is you click again here at the top, and you can send it to InDesign, you can send it to Behance, to Photoshop, to Illustrator, to Muse. You can even share a PDF or share the image. I'm going to send it into InDesign, which isn't open on my computer, but it will open it up automatically. So by the time you get back to your office or back to your desk, it's opened in InDesign, fully ready for you to complete that ad. And guess what? You didn't lose any time, because everything you've created in the app is immediately inside InDesign as individual boxes. Now let me put my airdrop off here, and you'll see how it's going to open InDesign for me automatically on my computer and give me that exact design that I had inside the app just now, inside InDesign, ready for me to complete and turn into a PDF and send off to print. Now, is that magic or what? Okay, so let's just give this one a little bit of time to load. And in the meantime, I will open up Adobe Clip. And here it comes, and voila. There's what I just created in the app, and now I have the full power of InDesign, because these are all blocks and elements that I can control further in InDesign, and I can now complete my design. Okay, last app for you today is Adobe Clip, and this is very interesting. A while ago, one of the media companies in South Africa contacted us, and they said that they want to be able to have their editors, when they're in the field, to create video clips, because back in those days, it really was impossible to wait for a studio to create a video clip and to edit the video clip and get everything ready. Nowadays, people want things quickly. They want to take the video clip, they want to upload it to the web, it must be available within minutes. So Adobe Clip is the answer for creating on-the-go video. And you can download that, it's Adobe Premiere Clip. It accesses any video on your cell phone or on your tablet or even in your Creative Cloud account. So if I click on New Project over here, I'm going to click on this project I started earlier. Now, you guys can go and play around with this, but you need to take video from your device or from your Creative Cloud account, and that video needs to upload. So just be warned that it can take some time to bring it into the app. Let's see if I've got something here that I can load quickly. And here's let's take this little clip taken from Signal Hill. And you can see the clip there before you're going to start working with it. And there it is. Done, and let's add that. Again, be warned, this has to be added to your Creative Cloud account and also to download onto the device. So it can take some time to do. So let's give it a couple of seconds to just upload. And there it is. So at the moment we've got one clip and it's 31 seconds long. I'm not going to add more because it's going to take too long, but what I'm going to do is just add some pictures for us to use together with this video. And again, we can access any of our folders and we can pick a couple of images over here. And let's add another one. And one more. So if you have some time, go and upload quite a couple of video clips that you've got, and you can create a little family video. So let's take this line set image again. Now think of these 4 elements at the bottom as video clips, and what you can do is swap them around. So if I click and drag, I can tell it which one's supposed to come first. And at the bottom, you'll notice that it says how many seconds it will hold it, that specific image. So these are images, so they can't be changed in length, but your video clip, interestingly, can be edited. So if I click on that video clip, look at this. I can slide it in or out to tell it how much of this clip to show. And maybe I just want to show this bit over here. And you can then even tell it to do a slow motion. So I'm going to duplicate that clip, but for the duplication, we're going to move this onwards to show another bit of the clip, but we'll show this bit in slow motion, right? And you can even do color grades here, and under your settings, you can change the look of the clips, and it will apply it over all of the clips, that coloring. And you can go back and you can fade in from black for a specific clip, or fade out to black, or crossfade between clips. Maybe we want that. And then let's give it some sound, some music. And if I click on music, it's going to give me Adobe Premiere Clips, or I can access any music on my device. So Adobe Premiere Clip, let's see what they've got here. Nah, it's a bit boring. All a bit calm. Okay, you get the idea. So I'm going to use echoes and add that, and it adds that soundtrack across your video. And if we were to go back and play our video now, we can click on play. And there's our video clip, completely converted to video. And our second bit will be in slow motion. Magic. So you just created a whole video clip in a matter of seconds, and you can immediately share it over to your camera roll. You can save it back. You can save it back to Creative Cloud if you want to keep it. You can save it to Dropbox. You can even publish and share it. And that's a very nice feature because you can send it straight over to Facebook, and it creates a link, and it actually uploads your video clip for you to an online location, and it returns a link for you, and you can send that link out in emailers, or you can send it out in Facebook or whatever to link back to that video clip. You can even use it on a website. If you're a magazine editor or you're working for a magazine, you can publish it straight onto the website with that link. Okay, I'm going to cancel this because it's going to take a while. The last one I do want to show you is that you can send it to Premiere. And Premiere is the big application for videos in Adobe. And we will have a power session on Premiere as well. You can even share it to YouTube or to Twitter. Right. So that's your last app. The rest of the apps, guys, go read up on them and play around with them, and you'll see it's just there's just so much magic and so much things that you can do between all of these apps as you build your inspiration out for your next big idea. I hope you had a lot of fun watching this, and I hope you have even more fun going to play with it, because I had a blast showing it to you. Alright, so we'll be back with our next session soon, but go and create. We want to see some incredible stuff as your creative universe just keeps on growing. Alright, thanks so much for watching.